Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of Frail Conversations. Um, Today, I want to talk about a very, very important topic. This is something that's been, I've been discussing it like a lot on social media, not directly on mine, but for some reason, randomly, I don't know why, people just been tagging me in their shit. Like, yo, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this? And, I'm big on signs and coincidences, because I don't believe in coincidences. But when something harmonizes enough, it kind of gives you, there's a reason why it's happening. And that particular topic is emotions in men. And it was kind of asked, like, why are we emotionally available? um you know do the work, heal, a lot of things like that. And it's like, you know, nobody ever wants to peel back the layers, and everybody wants to tell us to do the shit, but nobody really gives us a template, gives us anything to discuss or to talk about, or to even begin to heal our emotions and shit. And nobody wants to face the reality of why we are like this. Now, this is not on no, I'm gonna blame people. You know what I mean? There's not gonna be a blame game. This is gonna be, as always, me discussing the shit that comes to me that I got to talk about. So, in regards to our emotions and shit, we're kind of all emotionally unavailable, and it's kind of like it's a bit of an extreme. You know what I mean? We could be emotionally unavailable, or we can be too emotionally available. And it all derives from not really acknowledging our emotions, and not knowing what to do with them, how to maneuver with them, and how to do right. It's, I don't know, it just gets kind of deep, because I think, me personally, and just for my own mastery of them and my own time to actually sit and dwell with them, I realized that until we learn to tap into our emotions, we're going to be hindered a lot. We're going to be hindered a lot. And I mean that, like, because as you always hear me saying, rationality follows emotionality. So that is an aspect in which femininity, our feminine essence, is going to be stronger than our masculine essence, because rationale is masculine, emotion is feminine. But rationale follows emotion. The way in which your emotions are riled up, your rationale is going to follow that. So you have to use your emotions to guide your rationale. You have to use your emotions to fully comprehend that aspect of yourself. You feel what I mean? And it's not until we get that point, and it's not until we get there, that we can truly, evolve. Because, in some of the conversations that I was in with people, there was a common theme, and it was unanimous. Like, our brothers, we were pretty much on the same accord with it. That the only emotions we're allowed to feel and express comfortably are anger, rage, and aggression. You feel me? Why are those? Those are the three most destructive, because the rationale that follows anger, rage, and aggression leads to destruction. There's no way you can, argue me on that. But why are those the three that we are, permitted to exhibit the most? It's a problem with that, and it's a reason for that. But, I'm going to peel back all the layers, and get into it. I'm only laughing because I asked somebody, like, what do they think I love to do or some shit. They started to peel back the layers. And I just thought about it when I said peel back the layers. But anyway, as always, before I get started, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _scene_. Be sure to check out all of my social media pages. The Just Scene podcast, Just Scene's merch, Mastering the Market, and the Hitting the Raw program. You can also find my website at iamjustscene.com, and you can be taken to all of your respective places. Be sure to get my books, Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life, if you are trying to transition into the plant-based lifestyle. So Frail, The Realities of Black Male Masculinity, and So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity. And I'm going to keep, plugging it. So Frail 3 is going to be in the works. As long as I keep, reminding myself, it keeps planting the seed, and I'll get more of the insight and information I need to go ahead and finish the book. Um, Also, much appreciation, love, and thanks to all who support the podcast, who continue to send tips, who continue to send donations, and continue to sponsor monthly. If you would like to do so, you can find all of those links in the description of your podcast to do so. Let's see, that's pretty much it. So with that being said, as always, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to hop back into So Frail Conversations, the emotional side. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, welcome back. First, I want to go ahead and kick it off with the emotions we're able to exhibit. First off, let me say this, right? When I speak on the feminine essence, I'm, specifically speaking on our spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of synthesis and construction, right? So our ability to build and create things, within this world, within this realm, however you're choosing to define it, are based off our emotions. What we feel helps us build what we think about. Your emotions feel shit. So this is why I say your rationale is going to follow your emotionality every time. And here's where it becomes problematic, because the only emotions that we're really allowed to truly feel, like we're permitted to. As men, we're shunned emotion in every aspect. We're allowed to feel anger, rage, and aggression. These are all barbaric emotions. These are all emotions that lead to destruction. These are all emotions that lead to volatility, violence, all of that. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a time and place for all that shit. This ain't to say, give up those emotions and embrace all the other ones. No. I feel like every emotion has a vital piece in your life, has a vital piece and a necessary piece in your life. You feel what I mean? And we have to be able to fully and healthily deal with every emotion in order to be a full, complete being. By only using anger, rage, and aggression, we kind of turn into monsters. Quote unquote, heartless monsters. I mentioned this in one of my podcast episodes, or it could have been a YouTube series. I don't know. I know I was speaking on the emotional state, but in it, I was talking about how the chakras work, right? So in our sacral chakra, that's where our feelings and our emotions, that's where that energy center sits, right? So our emotions lead to two things. The feelings and emotions lead to, let me say it like this. There's only two emotions, Everything else is a feeling. Feelings lead to emotions, right? So our emotional state, you're either going to have joy or you're going to have pain. That's the quandary. Well, not the quandary, that's the balance. That's the duality, right? The feelings that we have are going to lead us to one of those two paths, okay? And your joy and pain emotions sit and they reside. Like once you can master those, you can go to your personal identity. So you can root your personal identity in either joy or pain, right? And then from there, that's your solar plexus energy. Then from your heart chakra energy, that's either going to put you in a state of love or hate, right? So whichever feelings you embody the most is going to create your personal identity, which is going to teach you how to live life, how to love through life, which is your heart chakra energy. And love and hate are the same energy, right? It's just dependent upon which emotions we allow to fuel them, right? So by dealing only with anger, rage, and aggression, right? we're going to automatically filter our personal identity through pain, right? And pain felt and pain inflicted. Just like any emotion, if we go through the positive side, there's going to be pain, joy received, and joy inflicted. You feel me? So when we get wrapped up in that, and we start to create our personal identity through the lack of understanding our emotions, or using only emotions that people see, that people permit us to have, that's how our personal identity is going to form. You know what I mean? I remember talking to a big homie one time, and he was telling me, yo, women, it was powerful when he said the shit, though, because he was right, but didn't know how right he was and what he was really saying to me on a deeper level. He was like, yo, bro, you want to get the girls and everything like that. You say sometimes you gotta think, you gotta play with them a little bit. Be like, yeah, you feel me? I'm mad. I feel like fighting or some shit, and she'll try to calm you down, and then you play on that. Like, granted, it was some fucked up shit. Like, it worked, but it was some fucked up shit because those three emotions, no one wants to see, especially from black men. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. Especially our enemies. Our enemies do not want to see us in those three states, but they keep us in that perpetual motion. You feel me? But our rationale follows it, because there's no thought when you're in those three states of emotion. It's just action. In the hood, we always talk about shit like, yo, people be like, yo, he about that action. And what action is he about? The action fueled through the emotions of anger, rage, and aggression. So our heart energy is going to be hatred, and we're going to exude that shit, which is going to ultimately lead to destruction, right? So I was discussing with, some sisters about, like, why are men emotionally on it? We have to be, and one of the sisters, I respect her opinion. She was like, you can't continue to blame childhood and parenting and all of that. Eventually you just got like, that's the thing that people constantly tell us as men. Just get over it. It's time to stop pointing fingers. Like, no, sometimes in order to heal, you have to know what hurts. And you have to know what hurts you. We can't face our emotions because we don't know what hurts us. Because we have created a belief system within our minds that we don't get hurt. No matter how bad we're hurting, we don't get hurt. You feel what I'm saying? And it's been like this since we were kids. It's been like this since we were kids, man. Like babies. Like, it's a funny thing, like, even as kids, we'll say some shit. Like, I seen a meme floating around. It was funny because it was real, but it was like, in the black community, like, if a baby fall, they like, don't look at them because they're going to cry. Crying is our first form of communication. That's how we speak. You don't really realize how powerful crying is until you have kids. Do I have kids? No, but I'm around enough parents who say, I'll always ask, when their baby will cry, especially mothers, when their child will cry, they will say, oh, they're hungry. Oh, you just fussy. Oh, you sleepy, ain't you? And I'll be like, how the fuck do you know? You feel me? And mothers have always told me, some fathers too, when they're really in tune and shit, but mothers have always told me, babies have different cries for different things. Like the cry, the frequency, the energy is different, the sound is different. If that's not your child, of course you're not gonna hear it. You feel what I mean? But then when you have children, you're able to hear it even in other children. Oh, you're hungry. You feel me? Or you're sad. But I mean, you're like, and we get so stuck on those basic things that we don't realize that children evolve. More emotions come into them, more feelings come into them, more responses to life come into them. So as I get older, my tears could come out of frustration. They can come out of disappointment. They can come out of anger, But it comes a point where as boys, we're not able, as we develop, our emotions must die in some way, shape, or form. What we feel can't be real because we're boys. I was kind of speaking on this, like, every level of our development as boys, men, males, however you want to look at it, every development, we're designed and wired to slowly start pushing to the next level and not operate from the level we're on and master that. And what I mean by that is we say, for example, if we look at a quote unquote kid, you know, I'm just using this term for, level sakes, a kid, you would constantly tell your son, yo, you're a big boy now. Don't cry. You're all right. You're not hurt. Your dad's like, okay, cool. So as a kid, I have to start operating as a big boy. What do big boys do? You feel me? I become a big boy. Then it's, oh, you're a young man now. Wait, what? Oh, wait, I thought I was a big boy. No, okay, whatever. So I'm a young man now. Then as a young man, you become a man. You don't have those development stages where you're able to sit at them because everybody else tells you what you're supposed to be for the next phase. And then when you become a man, now you're a role model. Now you're somebody that people are looking up to, You never have that balance to where you're able to sit and say, oh shit, let me stay at this level. Let me grow at this level. You feel what I mean? And when it comes to our emotions, we're not permitted to be anything else. Like when we're mad, people say, yeah, deal with that anger. I see that we're able to sit in those. Anything else, we're not, because it's taboo. It's taboo. You're a man. You shouldn't be feeling that. I fucking love battle rap. I'm a writer. I'm a poet. I'm an artist. You feel me too? And so, I like putting words together like that. So I like battle rap. Because battle rap is like a genius level of language. Like people don't really get that. A lot of these motherfuckers be high school dropouts. A lot of these motherfuckers be not conventionally learned in quote unquote the English language and shit, but they can put that shit together better than English people can. You feel me? Metaphors, entendres, similes, all of that shit. It's deep. You feel me? I'm saying? But the reason why I'm saying that is because in battle rap, when they say something that hits a nerve, like in battle rap, the goal is to rile your enemy up. That's what the battle is. You feel me? But when a motherfucker does get riled up, we be like, look at him. He's emotional. I think Lux was one of the first people that said it. But he was like, yo, look at him. He's emotional. And we are emotional beings. But then we try to deny it. Like, nah. But we take these levels of anger, rage, and aggression, right? And then it teaches to channel them. Channel them into sports. Channel them into different, that anger, rage, and aggression, it's a heavy fuel. It's a heavy fuel, I've seen basketball players. I've seen football players. When I was young, I had a teacher tell me, oh, you should play football because you need to get that anger out of you. Don't get rid of the anger. Keep it, but just use it for quote unquote a positive thing. You feel me? How can I internalize something negative and keep it? It's like the Incredible Hulk. I think it was with the first Avengers movie or something. It was one of them, but I think Iron Man was talking to him. He said, so what's your secret to get? He said, yo, how can you just get mad? He said, the secret is I'm always angry. And that's what made him turn into the Hulk. You feel me? The underlying thing to that was that he was always angry. How many of us are always angry? How many of us are always in a state of rage? How many are always in a state of aggression? Because those are the three emotions we're allowed to feel. Pretty much a lot of us. And by being stuck in those emotional places, by being stuck in those emotional mindsets, our thinking is off. You don't think when you're angry. You don't think when you're in a rage. Like people say it all the time, I saw red. I was in a blind state, I was just mad. Because nothing's able to be healthily processed, But there are other emotions. There are a lot of other emotions that we can't feel. Anxiousness, excitement, joy. I didn't start smiling until fucking college, maybe. Smiling a lot. To this day, you know, like growing up in a single parent household, my pops wasn't there, but, and then my mom, she had to work and go to school, to take care of us, so she wasn't always, there and able to see us. Like, we seen each other for church, we seen each other on the weekends and shit for the most part. But as a whole, collectively growing up, it wasn't much seeing of my mom. So the point that I'm making with that is that she never got to see me in an idle state as everybody else would who I was around all the time. So everybody like, you always mugging, you'll smile sometimes. Like, nah, ain't nothing to smile about. You feel me? But like in later years in life, me and my mom, we spent more time together. Like even like when I was in high school, when I got my first job, I think she was finishing a master's degree or something. Or like, so the time we really seen each other was rare. Like, she would come home, I would be at work already. Then I get off like 10 o'clock, come home, she'd be asleep. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that. So she never really got to just see me in an idle state, So as she got more time to see me, she was like, like she would say something to me. In my mind, there's no emotion. There's nothing that I'm thinking or feeling. Like, I could be feeling good. I just got a mean mug on my face. And she'll ask me to do something or something. And like, I look at her and she'll be like, never mind, I do. I'll be like, what are you talking about, Mom? She's like, the look on your face is like, I'm like, what look? Like, and I realized I just got that permanent. Now she's finally seen the permanent scowl that I've always had from, being in that constant emotional state, without knowing it, and it just made me more cognizant of it, and I became more aware of it. But yeah, it comes from, being children, being children, not being able to cry. I'm big on, crying and getting that shit out, which is ironic because I still don't cry. But I'm like, yo, I'm like, yo, let your boys cry, bro. Let your boys cry. Don't just let them cry because they hurt, because they got a whooping or some shit. And it's like, yo, and then it's like, that gets, annoying too, because it's like, I'm gonna give you something to cry for when you just cry. Like, a lot of times we're crying, as kids, it's frustration. It's a lot of different emotions, and that's how we vent it out. Like I said, there's that transition from being a baby, when crying is our only form of communication. You feel what I mean? And then we're no longer able to do it. Crying was how I got your attention at one point in time. Crying was how you listened to me. You feel me? And that still goes into adulthood. As soon as somebody starts crying, like, you pay attention to them. What are you crying for? Because that's our innate first mode of communication. First way in which we talk to people. So when we when we are unable to use our words anymore, when we're unable to physically express, we cry. It's easier for women to do, and it's a lot more connected for women to do, because, as soon as your girl is crying, or as soon as a woman's crying, you're like, yo, what's wrong? It's the first reaction, like, what's wrong? Because something's off when you cry. Somewhere there's an emotion that's off when you cry. Men don't cry. So when will anybody ever know what's wrong? You feel me? We get angered, and we get upset, and then we're mad, and then it's calm down. Ain't no calm down. Fuck that. Like, you shouldn't have took me to this point. You feel me? But like I said, that develops our personal identity. That's what we're rooted in. That's what we're rooted in heavy. So it's like, how do we deal with our emotions? Like, how do we heal from that shit? Because first we got to realize that there's a plethora of emotions. Anger, rage, and aggression, like I said, they're men emotions. Okay, there's hundreds of emotions, bro. Like nervousness, we get nervous. We get, like I said, anxious. We get frustrated. We feel elated. We feel content. We feel all of these things. But anything that can bring a smile to our face, anything that can make us feel good, those emotions we don't, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you can't be too, like, you're soft if you show those, like, you're actually a lot stronger. You just don't realize how much stronger you are by tapping into your emotions. You feel what I mean? Like, we feel a level of contentment and feel like a lot of times we don't owe it to ourselves, you know. And a lot of times this is where self-sabotage comes in too, because if you're not able to feel contentment and understand it, you would destroy the very thing that brought you contentment. You know, it's funny when we see the toxic memes of certain rappers, you know, on them, where they be like, yeah, you know, I'm toxic and, you know, I hurt you and this, that, and the third. It's like, now I realize how good of a person you were all after the fact. But we fuck them up, we damage them. We fuck up good shit. But the shit that fucks us up, we stay with it. You know? And why do we do that? Because it's normal. It becomes normalcy, you know what I mean? It becomes what we're used to feeling. And what we're used to feeling isn't right. You know? But it comes back, like I'm reading this book now. Called damn, I can't think of the name of it, but it's about love. It's by Bell Hooks. It's about love, and it's covering some real deep shit. I recommend my brothers to read that shit. But one of the points that it was talking about was like, you know, getting whoopings and still believing that you're loved and shit like that. And it's like love and abuse can't coexist in the same space. But it does. You feel what I mean? You know, I cover this in So Frail too, as well, about how as boys, when it comes to our emotions, you know, we're taught to be cold. We're taught to be emotionally unavailable because, you know, and then we're taught to see the world that way, as everybody else should be this way too. You know, the shit that could make me cry, the shit that can make me sad, the shit that can hurt me, it shouldn't hurt you, you know, because I was always taught that it wasn't supposed to hurt me. Like and that's when we internalize our weakness. That's when we internalize that we're weak, when we let emotions affect us. Not being taught that emotions are a natural function of us. Emotions guide us. Emotions are stimuli. Emotions are points to start to use our rationale to learn certain things. We can look at it like, if you let a baby touch a hot stove, they're not going to touch it again because it's an emotional reaction. I feel it now. Like, yo, this shit hurt me. You feel me? I physically got hurt. So then you know, okay, don't touch this again. But now in emotional pain, this emotionally hurt me. Right? So I'm going to stay away from it. But if I'm continually taught, yo, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. I'm going to leave it alone. You know, then what? Our rationale kicks in and says, okay, stay away from that shit because it triggers you this way. You feel me? So a lot of it is like self-fulfilling prophecies because we don't know how, like that. And that's where a lot of the narcissism develops. You know, me personally, I feel like narcissism is directly connected to being unable to feel your emotions or unable to process them in a healthy manner. You feel what I mean? Because it's like, yo, how can you manipulate people? How can you do people like that? Because I've been manipulated my whole life into believing that what I'm feeling is not what I'm feeling. Or what I'm feeling isn't even real, it's an illusion. So all of this other shit is an illusion too. When people start to feel emotional, that's not real. That's not real. You're supposed to have some kind of volatility about you. You're supposed to have some kind of like, I got to bring that out of you to know that you really care. And I think it's all working on a subconscious level. We damage and we break women and we hurt women so bad because it's like when women start to exhibit emotions, start to feel, oh, she's weak. She's weak. Give me a woman, give me a savage. Give me a woman that really don't give a fuck, just want to fuck me good and leave. Nah, we really want that care. We really want that. Like women, you know, they say, okay, I'm not your mother. You know, I'm not your mother. You're right. You're not my mother. But are you able, but it's the reason why I am around you and I want you so much like that. And you know, I developed this codependency on you because you're giving me what I may not have gotten from my mother the way I was supposed to. You feel me? We can't teach we can't teach love. We can't teach loving each other and loving our counterpart if we've never experienced love that way. You feel what I mean? And the natural feminine essence gives us that, you know, and women have the predisposition for it. So they naturally have the emotion. They naturally connect to us on that level. You feel me? And that's what we seek. That's what we crave, because it's like, for the first time in my life, I may have an open space to receive emotion, and even that can become, it can have its withdrawals, because in that same conversation I was having, I don't even know if the sisters was really paying attention to it, because it's so ingrained. We're talking about being emotionally unavailable, right? And we're talking about doing the work and feeling and healing and all that. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm with y'all. Y'all want us to not be emotionally unavailable. And then the same breath, you're telling me what to do with my emotions. Oh, you need to get over that. You need to, whatever happened in your past, you as a grown adult, you need to. Do you see why we don't fuck with our emotions? Do you see why we don't spend the time to do it? Because everybody, even they still continue to tell us, stop worrying about what caused the emotion and fix the emotion. How? How? Tell me how. You feel me? Tell me how. We do the whole do the work. What is the work? What is the work? You know what I mean? It's easy for women to do the work because they get healing circles, because they're allowed to feel their emotions. They get the healing circles, they all of that. Ain't no, like, I know one. It's a brother by the name of his social media is the Hard Body God. I think that's what it is. But yeah, I had a chance to, sit on a panel and speak, with him. We kind of ran them inside on that. Dope brother, solid brother. He has, Black men's healing circles, where we, you can come together and just be in that space. You feel me? But you know how hard that is? That's still hard. I respect that brother on 1,000,000% for that very reason, because it's like, he's willing to, hey bro, come on, let's get to it. Because I've had conversations with homies. It's like, we be vulnerable with each other. You know what I'm saying? In our moments of expression, emotions, and then our first reaction, our first instinct to speak on this after, we just became emotional. Like, I still punch the motherfucker out though. Don't get it twisted. I still knock a motherfucker out. You feel me? We still had to tap into that anger, rage, and aggression. Like, yo, yeah, but don't get it twisted. Nobody got it twisted. We got it twisted. Our conditioning had it twisted. You feel me? Having emotions don't mean you won't still beat a motherfucker up. Emotions is why you beat motherfuckers up. It's just the 3 types of emotions that we're allowed to have. You feel me? That justify it. I'm a very emotional person. Like, very emotional. I care a lot. I care about people. I care about things. I have feelings. I deeply feel shit. You feel me? And I could not erase it. That's how, like I was just mentioning in the last Frail conversation, that's how, I even came to terms with being able to focus and understand masculinity the way that I do, because I knew I was emotional. And everybody around me I was like, yo, something must be wrong with me. Because I'm like, y'all ain't got no emotions. You feel me? I seen it for the first time in one of my homeboys when his grandfather passed. We was young. I think we had to be like 14. He called me, and, he got to see him in the last moments, because they knew he was about to go. So he got to see him in his last moments. He called me. He said, yo, Ray, can you come up here? I'm on the way, bro. And then as soon as I got there, like, he broke down and cried. He hugged me. He hugged my other homeboy. And then after that, he just stopped crying, and we rode to Walmart and just walked around and just started laughing and playing again. He didn't get to grieve. He didn't get to grieve. He couldn't. Because, see, as I was talking about the chakras and shit, grief blocks your heart chakra. You feel me? We don't get to grieve. We don't get to grieve, bro. And I'm not saying that we don't get to, but we don't know how. So in the moments when we're supposed to be grieving, we can't. Because because it's emotion. I can't feel this shit. This shit hurts. You feel me? But, for me, being raised without my father, that triggered emotion. My first heartbreak, losing my grandmother, those things, like, there's other emotional things that I faced, embarrassments, like, those are emotions, like, you feel me? You can't laugh through them. You have to be able to express it. I remember this was like a year ago or so. I was talking to my youngest niece, and, parents always slip the okie doke on their kids, because they know that, the kids are going to cry when they leave the house, or whatever. So my sister was like, all right, we better run to the store real quick. Can you watch her? But I was like, yeah, I got you. She said, all right. So, put her in, like, the back room. They went out one door and shit. And me and her just playing and shit. And she realized, hold up. mommy ain't here no more. Where's she at? And she went. And so as she's talking to me, and so she's upset. And I'm like, at first, my initial reaction, because this is what I'm conditioned to, is to say, yo, stop crying, it'll be okay, and then try to distract her from the pain. And I said, no, I'm gonna try a different way this time. So I said, what's wrong? She said, I'm angry. I said, why are you angry? She said, mommy left me. So I was like, tell me how it makes you feel. It was like on some therapist, psychologist type shit. But she just started talking to me. And so we're sitting down on the stairs in the house or whatever. And like me and my niece are literally having a whole heart-to-heart conversation about why she's angry. And I'm like, damn, I don't think, I've ever had one of those before. I don't think many people around me have had those before, let alone men. You feel me? But it's like as I'm talking to her, she's, getting it out and stuff. And we're talking about why she's angry and everything like that. So then I was explaining to her, yeah, mommy had to go to the store and everything. And as I'm giving her the explanations, it's like I'm putting rationale behind that emotion that's fueling her. You dig what I mean? So when my sister finally come back, she see us sitting on the stairs. And, of course my niece lit up like, mommy. And then, but she was like, why y'all sitting out there? We was talking. And it's like, it gave me a different insight of life. It gave me a different insight of life. It gave me the ability to see that, our emotions aren't processed healthily. We're not rationalizing our emotions. So like I said, that's what helped me. That's what helped strengthen my masculinity, by first acknowledging my emotions instead of running from them. You feel me? And I'm like, bro, this is, and it also helped that I had a lot of women who were, my platonic friends and shit. Like, they knew to come to me when something was wrong. Off rip, I was the first person they came to. I never knew why, and I would always help them process it, but I would do it from the rationale because they were in an emotional state. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I was doing it, And it was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better now. And I'd be like, why the fuck can't I do that for myself? Because when I get these emotions, when I used to have my emotions, what I would do was just write. Like we do things to distract us from the things that we're emotional about. I had a nephew who vented that one time that he was angry about something. And the initial response everybody had was, boy, you better fix your face. Boy, you better do this. Even mine. Like, this is my evolving style. Like, man, you better fix your face. Toughen up. You're a big boy. I said those very things to him. I denied every emotion that he had, that he felt. So when we constantly continue, like, that puts us in a state of insanity. Because we have everybody around us telling us that what we have is not real. What we're feeling is not real. What we're expressing is not real. You know what I mean? We know it's real. We feel the shit. So now we're in a state of delusion because we're like, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping. Like I said, I held on to a heartbreak for years. I held on to all of these different emotions for years because I was like, I'm tripping, bro. I shouldn't be hurt. I shouldn't be hurt. I shouldn't be feeling like this, And those emotions play into our psyches, because we're not able to deal with them. We don't know how to deal with rejection. We don't know how to deal with things like that. Like when I was just discussing with a sister about this too, I was like, yo, men, we get nervous too. See, a lot of times when women, like, I was talking about how, confident men, you know what I mean? People got this whole misconception that, confident men are confident men because they can comfortably act like women, or do some woman shit like, nah, that's not confident. That's not confident. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to say that it's confident. But you have to realize that confidence comes from overcoming nervousness. You feel me? The very shit that I'm confident in, I've already mastered. I've already gotten through that nervous phase, that scared phase. I've gotten through that shit already. That's what makes me confident about it because I've been through it. You feel what I'm saying? So like when it comes to relationships, women be on some shit. Oh, I need me a confident man. And I break it down. If you're going to get you a confident man, it's one of two things. Like I said, you have to overcome nervousness. If you don't make me nervous, if a woman does not make a man nervous, I hate to bust the bubble and tell it, chances are he don't really want you. He's settling for you. And I know that seems very, very morbid because it's like, yo, a lot of women they're great, you know, and they're like, they internalize that I'm a great person, and they're dealing with what they perceive as a very confident man. He's no longer nervous. Like, confidence has to be built. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Confidence has to be built. The women that I'm easily connected with, I don't really like them in the long run. Like, I know the relationship isn't going to work because it's easy. I'm not talking sexually. I'm not just talking about sexually. When I don't fumble over my words, when I know what to say every time, like when I know I've learned that I'm really interested and invested in a woman when I don't know what to say to her. I'm like, damn, I'm literally like in my head thinking, okay, I should say, all right, good morning, how's this? Like that. I don't know how to organically speak to a woman I'm nervous with. Like, who a woman that makes me nervous. I fuck up a lot. And it's like, that fucks me up because I'm a communicator. That fucks me up in relationships because I'm a communicator. That fucks me up in the initial phases because I'm good with words, because I'm able to speak well, because I'm able to talk fluidly. So when I tell people, yo, I get shy around women I really want, you ain't shy. All right, I am, bro. I'm telling you, like, I'm really a shy person. I get nervous around women that I really like, and I don't know what to say. And this goes into the like, my confidence has to be built with you. I have to get to that point where I'm like, the nervousness is done. I face it, but that's another powerful piece to it, because it's like, you know, you really fuck with her when you're willing to face that nervousness. You know, that's an emotion that you have, and it's like, yo, I'm nervous as fuck, but I'm not gonna stop saying something to her. Like, I don't even know what to say right now, but I'm gonna keep fucking with her. I'm gonna keep talking to her till I get to that point where that confidence is built, and I break that mold where it's like, I make her laugh. I break that mold where she's comfortable with me. I break that mold where I'm comfortable with her, and then I become more confident in it. You feel what I'm saying? That's why the clinginess and shit that people say people have is because, like, I'm trying to overcompensate for the nervousness that I have. So I'm trying to show you that, like, you know, so it's one or two things going to happen. Either you're going to be all out or all in, or you're going to try to play it, you know, smooth. But like, when we're typically confident in something, it's because we've already faced the nervousness in it. You know, it's like I was saying, when women get to that point where it's like, you know, and that a lot of times, that's why we want bad bitches. That's why we want bitches that don't want us. And I don't mean bitches in, like, I'm not trying to, you know, refer to women as bitches. I'm, you know, speaking as we speak from time to time. But we like these types of women because that challenge is there. They make us extra nervous, and we, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, we get our feet wet with the women that we already have the confidence over. Like, it ain't no challenge. Like, I know you. You feel me? I mean, I got you. I don't have to try. Like, you know what I mean? It's easy. It's easy to speak with you. It's easy to, like, the things that are challenging and the things that are hard is really what molds us and makes us men, and makes us the men we need to be. And, you know, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to courting, like, if we're not nervous in the beginning, we're not going to think about that woman all the time. We're not going to, you know, it's like, all right, I got her. Now what? All right, let me fuck. Then I fuck, and then it's like, you know, but that nervousness is powerful. Those scared feelings, those emotions that, you know, like they say, do it scared and do these things. Like, we feel all of that shit as men, you know. So when it comes to the confident man, like I said, if he's confident, it's because he's already mastered that level of nervousness that you could potentially bring him, that you never did. So he's at that level, or, you know, he's a narcissist. He could be very narcissistic. And the two kind of go hand in hand. So it's like, you know, off that nervous side, a lot of women will feel that a man doesn't care. Oh, you just not interested in me. I can see how, like, social media get me in trouble like a motherfucker. Not because, like, I flirt a lot or no shit like that. I mean, I do, but I'm single too. But in the strength that people read my captions, people see my post, people listen to my podcast. I'm like, yo, you speak so, like, how do you just talk so fluidly and shit like that? Like, it's because I'm not nervous about none of this shit. But then it's like, when I see a woman that I'm interested in and I don't be knowing what the fuck to say, they be like, oh, you must not really be interested. No, I'm very interested. I just don't know what to say. I don't know how to get over this shit yet. You feel me? Just have some patience with me till I get to that hump. And that patience isn't there. that patience isn't there. So as men, we typically settle, and I hope this is not, offending anybody, but we settle a lot because it's like, I always want to have that confident man, a woman, I need me a confident man. And it's like, damn, how do I become confident with something I've never faced before? You feel me? Something I never faced before. And then, women like, yo, I ain't nothing like, quote unquote, I ain't nothing like them other bitches, so you're not going to treat me like that. Well, you don't make me nervous. So that's what pot you're sitting in. You feel me? I don't have the desire to explore you or to rationalize what this emotion is making me feel. Like, there's a couple women that I know that really, really make me nervous. And I don't want to say intimidate. Like, let's get that clear. Because, those two emotions can very well be closely, related, intimidated. Because a lot of dudes, we go into relationships and we have these, conversations with women. We're intimidated. A lot of times we can be intimidated by the power. No woman intimidates me. A lot of them make me nervous, but they don't intimidate me. Because then with the intimidation, those two moments, like when we're intimidated by something, we have to reduce it in size to us. We have to try to reduce it in size somehow. You know what I mean? Like this is when I was like 22, I was working at a car dealership, and I was selling cars to one of my homeboys and shit. And he was like, bro, like, and this was more so my misogynistic phase because it was all ingrained in me, and, it was like whenever he was like we would go to the club and I'll pull a number, like any woman. It's just like, yo, bro, how do you have the confidence to do this shit? And now this is how I know, this is why I say intimidation and nervousness are close, but they have different rationales behind them as to how to overcome them. You feel me? But it comes with time and learning how to deal with your emotions, right? Intimidation, you have to reduce the thing. You don't build the strength in yourself, you reduce the thing, right? But nervousness, you build up to it. You feel what I mean? So they have a very similar centerpiece, but the rationale as to how to approach them is different. If I'm intimidated, I'm going to reduce that thing. If I am nervous, I'm going to build myself. You feel me? So yeah, so intimidation, you reduce the thing, but nervousness, you increase yourself. So, we go to the club, go out, after the club, hit up Waffle House, or, while we're on breaks and shit at work, we'll go like Applebee's or some shit, sit down and chill, see women and shit. And I'm like, yo, I'm about to go get her number. So, I just go, he was like, yo, how you just do that shit? I said, cuz, bro. He was like, yo, sometimes I'm like, nah, look, no woman's ever going to intimidate me because, I always make something wrong with her before I approach her. He was like, what do you mean? He was like, yo, but what if they cute and all of that shit? I said, yo, like those things I have to overcome. But I said, one thing that I can't, I said, I would do two things to psych myself up, to reduce her, to be at my level when I go approach her. And one of those things is in my mind, I'll be like, I bet her feet stink. And I will program that in my mind, that her feet stink. Whether they stink or not, I don't fucking know. Or she got some ugly feet or something. I would do something to take away from the perfection I see right now. You feel me? Because I'm intimidated. You feel me? You know what I mean? We do that all the time. Like, and it's ingrained in us because it's like, that's a natural function. But we never actually had to process these emotions as to why we do this. So, in speaking with the women, it's like, I'm like, yo, bro, I bet her feet stink, or her pussy stink, or something's wrong. I make something wrong with her. So I can reduce the intimidation I feel. You feel me? I've had sisters tell me they went on dates with men, and the first thing they want to talk about, oh, so you got too much time for me. You're going to be too busy. You're going to be that. Like, that's intimidation speaking. He's intimidated. You feel me? He's intimidated. Now, nervousness, we feel the exact same way. Damn, she might be too much for me. Fucking level up, bro. When a woman has made me nervous, I don't give a fuck how great I feel. The moment a woman makes me nervous, I automatically start leveling up and I start doing more with my life because I feel like, yo, bro, I'm gonna get her. I want her, and I have to ascend. If a woman doesn't push me to level up, I can't fuck with her for the long term. You feel me? And then We also have egos being fed when a woman has to build. I don't need a woman to build me, but I do indirectly. Like, I don't need a woman to be pouring into my life saying, hey, motivate me to do this night. Like, no, I set my own alarm clocks. I do all these things. When I was in undergrad, I had a girlfriend. Her, she was raised, her grandma said, do you iron his clothes? Do you do this? And she was like, no, he does all of that shit himself. You feel me? I knew how to dress. Like, I knew how to do everything for myself. You feel me? So this woman would ask, like, so what do I do for you? I have several women ask me that question before. Like, what do I do for you? I'm like, yo, just be your motherfucking self. Like, what you mean? I never realized that, their validation was through if they could level me up. But I level myself up. So I level myself up off of the woman and the emotion that she makes me feel. You feel me? If a woman automatically, and I've also broken that mentality too. I don't be like, yo, her feet stink now, and I'm gonna approach her, try to reduce her in my head that something's wrong with her. You feel me? Like, why do you think all women are hoes? Why do you think these women are hoes? These women ain't, like, you feel me? We give ourselves some kind of peace that reduces the intimidation that we feel. Now, my sisters, this is not to say all of y'all are intimidating. You feel me? But when it comes to where you have been practicing this level of intimidation for so long, this level of reducing intimidation for so long, you defaulted to everything. You feel me? I'm going to treat all these hoes the same. I'm going to treat all these bitches the same. I'm going to treat them all the same. All of these bitches ain't shit. Because nobody teaches us how to first talk to women, how to overcome the nervousness. Like I said, when I was in high school, I had a homie who was like, yo, bro, I really like this girl. How do I talk to her? And I pretty much told him, but I didn't know at the time, and I couldn't consciously rationalize that she made him nervous. She didn't intimidate him. She made him nervous to where he wanted to pursue her more, but he knew, okay, I gotta figure out how to be the better person in this so I can actually maneuver, get over this nervousness and shit. You feel me? That's how that's how it works. You feel me? But then when we have to do the intimidation, we're automatically going to put ourselves to women that we deem ourselves, and that's why I say you get the conflict between, is that a confident man or is that a narcissistic man? Because is that a confident man or a narcissistic man? Because in what made him approach you, was it out of intimidation or nervousness? Hey, huddle up, broskies, because it's time to elevate. The secret to evolving masculinity is to define it, understand it, then apply it. The So Frail series defines masculinity as the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. From this definition, I explain how masculinity is not just the hat that we wear, but it's the essence that we must exude through application. If you enjoy the So Frail conversations, why not read the books that inspire them? Visit IamJustSeen.com right now to add the So Frail series to your library to get a better understanding of what masculinity really is. I promise. After reading So Frail, you will never look at masculinity the same again. Two powerful emotions that we don't even know if we feel or not. That we don't know what we're feeling because they feel very similar. But it's your rationale behind them. The rationale that fuels you to your next step to take action. That's what determines what emotion that was. When you're in these conversations with women and you feel like, yo, I gotta break her down. Like, we have a lot of conversations like that. Yo, she too much for me. Like, she that, she this. Like, it's intimidation. So I gotta figure out a way to reduce her. In my mind, either I'm gonna reduce her in my mind and not tell her, or I'm gonna actively reduce her, break her down till she ain't shit, and she's not going anywhere. Verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse in many cases, it's the intimidation. I'm intimidated. Like, what I intimidate, I have to reduce. You feel me? But like I said, what makes me nervous, I have to level up for. You feel me? I know a lot of brothers who was nervous, who were like, yo, man, she made me a better man. Why she make you a better man? She made you nervous when you met her, and she continues to make you nervous. I had a girlfriend, like, I don't even know how this shit happened, but it'll be like whenever we would hold hands, the hand that I was holding, the hand that she was holding would sweat. The other hand would be completely dry. You feel me? And she'd be like, why your hand sweating? I'm fucking nervous. No, you're not. Hey, I'm telling you, yo, I'm nervous as shit right now. Like, like, you feel me? But then when it starts to, like, when you don't make me nervous, And it's like when it continues over time, you know, shit like that happens, and vice versa, bro. Vice versa, bro. We got to understand that a lot of times we can make women nervous and we can intimidate them at the same time. And intimidating women will reduce you too. It's the same principle. I've had this very, like, the very girlfriend that actually did break, like, her intention. I don't know if it was like her intentional intention, but the intention was to reduce me because she knew. And I've had women say this to me several times, and it never, like, that's why I don't trust women who say this shit. They're like, you know what? I don't deserve somebody like you. Or I feel like if I don't get my shit together within a certain time frame, you're going to leave. I leave before they feel that way. I leave them alone and I disconnect from that because it's like, at some point, you're going to do something to try to sabotage this because you're intimidated. I've learned that emotion now. That's an emotion I've learned to identify, intimidation. You have to reduce me. You feel me? Sometimes we feel like we just, we lost ourselves. You feel me? We no longer want to hold ourselves to that standard that we once were. Because some people will call us arrogant. Some people will call us certain things. And it's like, when people call you arrogant, it's because their confidence doesn't match yours. Again, that is a form of intimidation to reduce you. Oh, don't be arrogant. Don't be like, when my big brother, he heard my music for the first time. He was like, bro, you're pretty good. I said, I'm fucking nice, bro. Like, I'm nice, bro. Like, the fuck you talking about? He said, now don't get a big head. Ain't no big head, bro. I'm fucking dope. Like, I don't know what you thought it was. Like, you ever heard me spit, bro? And then, like, he started hearing more and more of my music. He was like, yo, you really like that? Yes, I am nice, bro. I'm fucking dope, bro. Like, I'm not about to reduce myself because you, like, no. And, like, people hold that standard and that intimidation, they try to, bring it down. Like, that nervousness doesn't make them get better. I'm not saying my brother wanted to be a rapper, but I'm using that for the point of that nervousness. When somebody makes me nervous, anything, anybody, any challenge, any obstacle, I know, this shit made me nervous. I'm not going to run away from it. And I'm not going to reduce it. I want it to stay as big as it is. I want it to stay as powerful as it is. I'm going to level up and be greater. You feel what I mean? And those emotions really fuel a lot of our lives. I feel like, let's get out of anger, rage, and aggression. You feel? Now, let's add that into the component though. Anger, rage, and aggression, and you feel intimidated. How do you think you respond to intimidating things? What do you think you do? Like, this is why it's so easy to be verbally abusive to women. Like, I had a homie, he called his girl his bitch right in front of him, and she just didn't say shit. I'm like, that's your bitch. Like, you feel me? And then it makes sense, like, why dudes be, on some, we always get a younger girl, much younger than us, and then I look at how the structure is set up, get younger women, get more women who have no experience with the world and shit, get you, like, I've always liked mature, older women. And I was like, what is it? It's the nervousness that they make me feel, and they level up. So it's like, it fucks me up because women my age, it's hard for me to fuck with them because it's like, I'm always, I'm always cougar chasing. But even that, it's like, I've met women that were significantly older than me who were still not, you know what I mean? And it's like, the thing that got me was that, you made me nervous solely because you were older. And I wanted to be better for that. You feel me? So I became better for that. And then it's like, when I became better, it's like, that's one of the hardest things, they knew that I didn't feel indebted to them because they didn't do anything for me. You feel me? They didn't do anything for me. But our relationships as men, we typically go for what's not going to intimidate us, what's not going to make us nervous. And those things, quote unquote, and I'm not saying it from a misogynistic perspective because now I'm not speaking just on women. I'm speaking on life in general. But those things that don't make us nervous or intimidate us are beneath us. And it's not going to challenge us. It's not going to make us better. It's not going to push us. It's going to keep us from feeling anything. Because rationale follows emotion. Your emotion is going to dictate where you're going to travel. You feel me? And if these things don't trigger emotions within us, we're going to be stagnant, I've seen women who have been like, I've been with this man for 20 some years and it's still the same. You want a challenge. And then it's like when they started to be a challenge, it's like, oh, now you're doing too much. Now he lost his drive. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have that ability to do certain things anymore. You dig what I mean? He doesn't have that ability to do certain things anymore. And so if we know as men that what the emotion pushes us to, it's not going to give us a rationale behind being better. Not going to use it, you know? So those emotions like are ones that we really face that we like those. I feel like intimidation and nervousness, if we can find, like, when we feel intimidation, we need to shift it to nervousness and level up. You feel me? When we feel nervousness, we don't need to try to shift it to intimidation and bring that thing down, because it's like, yo, like I said, like there's a few women, you know, that like I'm eyeing right now and can't say shit to. Can't say shit to, because I feel like, yo, I gotta level up a lot more to get, like, contrary to wherever it is that I personally stand, where I feel I stand, I'm like, yo, I gotta get my shit on point for you, baby. I'm telling you, like, you feel me? But it's like there's that battle, because it's like never in my life until recent years, like I've never had full practice with this. So I've always went like the women that would come on to me, you know, and I realized when they had that intimidation, it's just like they want to slow me down, you know, and don't even know that they're doing it, but they're so intimidated that it's like they have to reduce what I am. Like me, some say it's the Aries in me. Some say it's whatever, you know what I'm saying? I feel like this, I mastered a lot of the energies that I have. So I'm a predominant, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm a dope ass creation. You know what I mean? So I have a lot of Capricorn energy, but I'm still an Aries. So the Capricorn energy, I put down a whole structure plan, but that Aries energy won't let me sit on it. So I'll act. You feel what I mean? And so I do shit real fast, real quick. And I've dealt with women who will be like, you think you're moving too fast for that? I don't know. This is what I do. I do this shit on a regular basis because I know myself. But then now I'm understanding I'm intimidating them. You know, I've had women tell me that they were intimidated. I've had not only women, I've had, you know, homies, brothers, like, you know, but see, when it's intimidation by brothers, it's like, you know, it's different. The response is different. You feel like the motherfucker hating on you. They're intimidated. You feel me? And because they're intimidated, they don't know how to verbalize that. You know, I was in middle school. Now, I didn't take his girlfriend, bro. Like, they broke up and she came on to me, but this dude wanted to fight me since the 6th grade. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, he wanted to scrap. Because in the 6th grade, it was two girlfriends. Look, bro, okay, look. It's like this. In middle school, it's like you got the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme. Like, if you up there, like, you got it, like, if whoever's up there is like, so it's like the top 10% is gonna fuck with the top 10%. It's just the way it moves. You feel what I mean? It's just the way it moves. So I was, you know, he had a girlfriend that, you know, when I say she liked me a lot. And I never got with her though. But I got with one of his other girlfriends. But both of them eventually left him alone and then started fucking with me. I'm like, bro, you want to fight because of that? And it was the intimidation. I'm learning now is the intimidation. Like, you feel me? I got to reduce you, because at the end of the day, it's like, all right, you're more appealing to the girls that I got. So if we fight and I beat you up, then I win. Misogyny, bro. Like, I be telling motherfuckers, like, misogyny is not the hate. It's the hatred of women. But before it was the hatred of women, it had to be the competition between men, which drove the hatred of women. The woman is the greatest prize given to a man in this physical plane. You feel me? And he who attains that prize, the other man, is the lower one, the weaker one. It's that simple. He's a loser. If you don't win, you lose. You feel me? And that is fueled through intimidation. How do you think, you know, Caucasian not so supremacy is so, like, they're losers. Like, you feel me? So they have to intimidate and reduce everything. So how do you reduce what you're intimidated to? I don't know. Slavery, you know, genocide, you know, rape, pillage, plunder, you know, intimidation factor. You have to bring that shit in. feel me? Because if it makes you don't level, you can't level up to it. To level up to it erases you. That's the fucked up part about it. But I'm talking solely about emotions this time. I'll save that for another conversation. But you know what I mean? It's in our in our emotional state that we operate from these things. You know, that's what I be like when I tell women that, okay, if you were ever taken from another man, first off, he don't trust you. He don't trust you. When the better man wins, he don't trust you, yo. If I took you from your man, you can be taken from me. Right? So don't get the big head about, he beat that other man. He beat that other man. He didn't gain you, he beat that man. Like, that's very, very important. Because in the intimidation, I reduced you because I took your woman. You feel me? But these are things that we have to go back early on and teach. When our kids feel emotion, we have to start to teach them. When our boys feel emotion, we have to start to teach them how to healthily process them. Nervousness, intimidation, shyness, being scared, content, like even the good emotions, contentment, elation, being happy, we have to let them feel that. I remember I was in the 4th grade and we had just moved to North Carolina. It was picture day. I smiled big. Like, this was one of the last times I ever smiled this big in a picture. But now, when I lived in California, every picture day I would smile comfortably. Didn't even care. Even when my teeth were changing shape and shit, I had that, by like 2nd grade, we all had that one big ass adult tooth and the rest of them were still baby teeth and shit. I'm still smiling, showing my shit. You feel what I'm saying? But in the 4th grade, my father's mother, my grandmother, on my dad's side, we took pictures. She said, "Oh, look at you just cheesing." Like, you're sound. But I didn't feel like, what I'm saying? It felt like, why are you making a joke that I'm smiling so big? So I didn't smile as big anymore. You feel what I mean? Because I felt good in that moment when I took that picture. You feel me? That was a positive emotion that I felt, So from then on, I had so many different picture days where I didn't smile. Like, why you think a lot of motherfuckers still flip the camera off when they like anger, rage, and aggression is the emotion that I feel. Cameras and pictures capture emotions. Like, they capture us in an emotional state. So whatever kind of emotion you decide, like, you feel me? Now, I'm dressed to the nines. I look good, but I'm going to flip the camera off. Because I'm a gangster and shit. You feel me? Gangsters only use these. Like, even that. Gangsters don't dance. I don't dance. Like, we go to the club, right? Sit on the wall, don't grind on nothing. And just look. Because there's an emotion there. There's an emotional connection that you have. You feel me? But we go there ready to fight. I'm waiting for some shit to pop off. I never went to the club for shit to pop off. I went to the club to get women. I went to the club to dance on the flight. I would have loved to be in a fucking kid and play party, bro. You feel me? Like, we don't have shit like that anymore. Intimidation. You feel me? Intimidation and nervousness simultaneously running. You feel me? Because women, when they really, fuck with you, it's different. Like, dudes do wild shit in the club. Like, you'll cuss a chick out right after you holler at her and shit because you mustered up the courage and she turned you down. That's a rejection is another emotion that takes it to a whole nother plane. But like, you be like, "Yo, bitch, that's why I ain't want you anyway." You literally just asked for the whole number, told her how good she looked, told her that you wouldn't mind taking her out. And then now, all of a sudden, she's a bitch. Now she ugly. Now she ain't that cute. See, when you're intimidated, first thing you have to, like, your initial response, the rationale behind the emotion of intimidation, the feeling of intimidation is that you have to bring that thing down. Now, nervousness is different, right? I've been in the club in certain situations where it's like, because women think they slick, bro. I'm going to go ahead and pop a bubble real quick. If you go to the club, right, and you go just hop up behind a girl and start dancing, first off, don't ever do that shit. I'm going to show you the right way to do the shit, but don't ever just jump behind her. You feel me? But when you just jump behind her, she might dance for a little bit, and then she's gonna do this little slide, little turnaround thing to see what you look like, and then she's gonna turn back around. She might keep dancing a little bit to, and then she'll just stop. You just see her just drift off you. Don't keep hopping on it. Like, that was it. She don't, like, leave it alone. You feel me? But don't cuss her out either. Like, she's entitled to not be attracted. She's entitled to not want to fuck with you. It's okay. Don't let your emotions get, fuck that bitch, man. She act like she can't dance. For that bitch, she don't want to dance. like, what? She doesn't have to. You feel what I'm saying? But when nervousness happens, you play it differently, right? You play it differently. Well, at least I do, and I did. And the people that I've seen do it, it works. You know what I'm saying? Face to face, like, I might walk through the spot if I know I want to, put my dick on her ass for a little bit. Like, think about how that is. You think about that shit. You have to be invited to put your dick on somebody's ass. Like, and we just hop up behind the chick because she's twerking and she's dancing and shit. No, you got to get permission to do that, bro. That's technically sexual harassment, my guy. Like, I don't even think we think about that shit really. Like, yo, just because she's shaking ass. Like, I had a friend. She told me she went to this party. Like, now, you feel me? This was somebody I was talking to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we left it alone because we couldn't go anywhere with it. But you feel me? She was built. She was thick as fuck. So she would tell me about going to the club and shit. She was like, dudes would say, yo, you got all the ass and you ain't shaking nothing. She like, yo, leave me the fuck alone. Like, the fuck? And it's like why they feel like just because, like, it's the men shit, bro. Like, that's what we do, because in our mind, there's a way that we have to reduce you. Like, you're bad. You're a beautiful woman and shit, but I'm going to reduce you. Because when you start shaking that ass, then I can say she ain't got no morals. And I can say she ain't got, shit about her. Now I can approach her. She's reduced in my head. You feel what I'm saying? But the point that I was making with the nervousness is that you in the club and shit, and you see a woman that you want to introduce yourself to. You see a woman that you want to dance with. I would dance face to face on some goofy shit. Like, now I'm not doing no goofy dancing and shit. Like, I'm just, getting my little, I do my 2-step. You feel me? I'm bobbing with her. And then it's like, we're face to face. And then I would notice that she'll look at me, I look at her. We might exchange a smile or something like that. And you feel me? I just keep doing my own thing by myself. And then after a while, she just jumps in front of it. And then that's it. We be on it. Like, you feel what I'm saying? But that's how you play the nervousness up. You got to build yourself up as opposed to reducing the thing, like, with intimidation. You feel me? So, that's pretty much like how, like, that's the power of understanding our emotions early on, because we got so many. You feel me? And they all come about, they all come about. And we have to realize that it's very important, and it's imperative that we tap into rationalizing our emotions and learning how to do so. Our boys need to be able to communicate healthily, because otherwise we're going to be emotionally unavailable men. But on the other side of that, and that's where it's like, you can get, like, in So Frail too, I mentioned you have the emotionally unavailable and you have the catty argumentative man. Any man is like, when I'm arguing with a woman, when I get to the point where it's like, yo, I'm yelling at you, how you yelling at me and shit, and we can't dissipate this energy, that's the catty argumentative man. But that's one of the emotions I'm fueled through is intimidation. You ain't gonna talk to me crazy, like, you ain't gonna, like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna reduce you. The emotionally unavailable man, he's not going to level up. You feel what I mean? In many regards. He'll do it on his own time, but not because you're the fuel or anything like that. So it's like, I'm disconnected. So they want to know why men are emotionally unavailable. You got to go to when he became emotionally unavailable. When I was a child, when I felt the emotions that I hear, I was going to be all right. Like, think about that shit. Listen to that. When we as men, as humans too, but I'm talking about men right now. When we as men come out and, like, it's been so ingrained in us that we were told we would be all right when our emotions are fucked up. Somebody can literally know that we hurt. Like, man, I'll be all right. Like, we just utter those words. I'll be all right. Because we've heard that you will be all right for so long. You feel what I'm saying? Nah, I'm not all right. I'm hurt. This is what I feel. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. You feel me? We can't deal with those things. We can't deal with those things. And one of the primary reasons why is because I always say respect is to men what love is to women. A lot of the shit that men do is for respect. You feel me? Women want to be loved, without a doubt. Women want to be loved. Men want to be respected. Men want to be respected. You feel me? So the things that I do, the emotions that trigger me, they have to be respectful. You feel me? We're disrespected as children. We're collectively disrespected. Our emotions are denied. We're yelled at. We're abused, all in the name of love. What people perceive as love. I do this because I love you. You know what I'm saying? That fucks with your mentality, bro. So it's like you can't respect this being. Like, children are supposed to be seen and not heard. Like, I don't have a voice. I don't have any of these things. When I have emotions that I'm feeling, people shun them and say, oh no, you'll be all right. Get over it. I remember hearing this from aunts, uncles, my mom sometimes. It's like, because you as a kid, you just like, yo, you getting on my nerves. But you ain't got no nerves. You too young to have nerves. You ain't got no nerves. Like, you literally denied their experience right there. Their aggravation. Like, children can feel aggravated by adults. Children can feel all of these things, but children aren't respected that way. So we talk about, and then, like I said, with respect being for men, what love is to women. How many times have, nobody ever really says, you have to earn my love. Like they say, respect isn't given, it's earned. Nobody really ever says that about love. You feel me? Nobody really ever says that in regards to love. You feel me? But in regards to respect, it's like, yo, that means you don't get it. You're not even going to get an ounce of it until you have shown that it's like, damn, what do I have to do to get respect? You feel me? So now I said respect is to love, respect is to men, what love is to women, right? So now we're going to go through those chakras again. So if the emotions that I'm feeling, right? So if I'm going to go backwards this time though. So if respect that sits at the heart chakra, right? Then for my personal identity, it's like I'm not going to receive respect through the joyous emotion. I'm going to get it through the painful emotion. You feel me? Pain that I receive and pain that I inflict, that's how I'm going to get respected. But what feelings have I now developed and said are permitted to be okay to lead me to that level of respect? So I'm going to be respected through the painful emotion by the feelings of anger, rage, and aggression. You feel me? But we don't realize that when we get to that level, we're not earning respect. We're invoking fear. I have to make you fear me. That's like as boys, we're taught to fear things as a sign of respect. And that's where the tyranny comes in. And that's where those emotions come in, because we're yearning for respect. And now we're learning on how to get respect and what respect is. And by taking that in, the only way that we get it is through anger, rage, and aggression. And what fuels it? We are respected as athletes. Greatest athletes are angry. They have a lot of rage and they're very aggressive. You feel what I mean? Boxers, like, you know what I'm saying? When we get to that level, I've had women say, they like, now they don't. Because now when you get older, when you're growing up and you're in that dating phase and you're starting to learn shit, women want that aggressive man. They want that unattached man, because, oh, I'm gonna change his heart. I'm gonna make him. No, you're not. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt. I'm gonna what's gonna lead to is like you're gonna be disrespected, and it's gonna level up to fear. Now you're gonna fear other relationships in men because all men are the same. Systematic. It works perfectly. You feel what I'm saying? But then when they get older, they now want that. Okay, cool. But you see the anger, rage, and aggression, and then you get the whole, he can protect me. No, he can only protect himself. You just happen to be behind him when he's doing the protecting. He doesn't really give a fuck about protecting you or not. You dig what I mean? So those levels of emotion that we're able to feel, that's how we develop those levels of feelings that we're able to feel, that's how we develop our emotional state, which creates our personal identity. Our emotional state of pain is going to garner how we're going to get respected. By inflicting pain, by hurting shit. You feel me? Think about what gives a man respect. Money, power, respect. It's in that order. Money, power, respect. It's the key to life. You feel me? The more hoes I have, the more like I've heard women say this shit. I don't want a man who can't get women. Damn. Like, really? And then you get mad when all he has is women around. You feel me? Like, and then he can't control himself. Like, it's like, that's really what you asked for, baby. Like, you can't get mad at it. You feel me? You can't get mad at it. But that's how I was giving my respect. That's how I was earning my respect. You feel me? You want the man who's like, I had a girlfriend, say at one point in time, she said, like, it was funny. She had lost some weed. Well, the weed man stole it from, whatever the case may be. Like, she left her car unlocked. She bought the weed put the weed in her little compartment and shit. I really feel like she lost it, to be honest, because she would literally roll a blunt and then lose it right after she twisted it up and be mad as fuck. I'm like, calm down. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, she made a mention. She was like, yeah, my old boyfriend would have punched the shit out of him for that. I said, oh, okay. So you don't want to take accountability for the shit, but I got you. You want it to be, that's how it is. So a lot of women are built off that. If a man is willing to fight at the drop of a hat, like, I tell, like, there's a difference between a barbarian and a warrior. Like, I fight. I still fight. I mean, I haven't been in a fight in years, like, because I'm an adult and shit. You feel me? But will I? Hell the fuck yeah. Hell the fuck yeah. It ain't no shit like that. Ain't gonna stop me. But I don't fight out of anger, rage, and aggression anymore. I don't fight just because. I switched from that barbarian state to that warrior state. I still fuck you up. Like, there's still that fuck up in there. There's still that get fucked up in there. But it's a thought process behind it. I'm not gonna blindly just run into some shit. I'm not just gonna blindly do something because my emotions are triggered. You know what I mean? Because then you stop thinking. You're no longer able to be calculated. You're no longer able to know that, okay, this is a big motherfucker, so he gonna try to slam me, so I'm not gonna let this motherfucker get close enough to even, muscle me out. You stop thinking about that. Shit goes it goes out of your mind. You're no longer able to calculate and strategically fight this motherfucker. Warrior shit. But anyway, it's because of the emotions. The emotional state we in. But the point that I was making with that was that in the grand scheme of it all, the emotionality is going to be followed by rationale. So what women want is what men are going to try, what they're going to perceive as what works. So like I was saying with my homeboy, he was like, yo, you act mad and then watch how many women you can get just by, acting mad and they want to calm you down. Like, now I got to be able to calm myself down. I don't want to do that shit because this shit work. You know what I mean? I could literally just be sitting in class mad and, you know what I mean? Like, this was in high school. Like, I got so many numbers off this shit. Like, I just be sitting there mad and I'm like, yo, what's wrong with you? Nothing, man. Motherfuckers just tripping. And nothing really be wrong. I just be milking the game. And then she want to talk and, oh my gosh, this and the third. I'm like, yo, see, man, that's why I fucks with you, yo, because you look out. Bruh. But anywho, that's not here nor there. But the point that I'm making is this. I want to go ahead and bring it full circle because I'll be just rambling, telling my own personal stories and shit, snitching on myself. But, when we go back to our childhood, right? At this point, we can't, like, this is like my peers. We can't go back and erase anything. We just have to identify it and heal, right? For those who have sons who, plan on bringing sons into this world and things of that nature, let them have their emotions and process them. Let them know what they're feeling. Don't just shun them. Their crying is their form of communication until they're able to verbalize and vocalize their words. How do they learn how to say what they're feeling? By experiencing the emotion and rationalizing it. You feel me? By experiencing the emotion and rationalizing it. Not holding it in and getting all frustrated. Like, whoa. And don't dismiss so you getting swole up in your chest. You're looking like you want to do something. Nah, mothers, y'all got to stop doing that shit too. You feel me? I get it. If you're raising your son by yourself, you don't want him to, you got to assert that, but you got to be careful with that. Like I mentioned this in So Frail. You're going to come to a quandary where you're going to create one of two men. You're either going to create the passive man, extremely passive man, or the extremely aggressive man. When you come to that reality where for all of his years, all of his life, He's never been able to express his, damn, I sounded country as hell when I said life, but he's never been able to express his emotions the way he wanted to. And now he's 15, 16 years old, and he's been holding this, and you utter these words, you look like you want to hit me. You look like you want to hit me. You just reduced that man. You intimidated him. You've intimidated him. And like I said, one or two things are going to happen. He's going to be extremely passive and shut down, or he's going to be extremely aggressive and hit you back. Or he's going to hit you. And you know you're not going to beat him. You know you can't. I brought you in this world, I take you out and all that shit. Yeah, you say that shit till you get a little bit of muscle and he's able to do something. Then it's like, it's different. I'm not condoning the fight. I'm not condoning men hitting women or anything like that. But that sets the tone, because even though I've heard women say that I don't raise my son to hit women, but are you a woman that he wishes he can hit? Because he's going to be knocking bitches out. That's how he's going to see women. He's going to see you in them. He's going to see everything in them that he wish he could do to you but can't, but he can do it to them. He can do it to them. You feel me? I couldn't intimidate you. I couldn't reduce you, but I'm going to reduce this woman, because no woman is ever going to put me in that position again. You feel me? Fathers too. Fathers too. Stop trying to invoke. Don't make your son an aggressive bitch because he's you want to punk him. You know, you want to shut him down. You want to, don't do no shit like that. This is why there's in that rites of passage phase, like when dudes be trying to fight their daddy. I want to scrap with my dad because all my life I was never big enough to do it. Now, granted, sons, daddy got experience. Daddy got experience. I don't give a fuck how many muscles you got. Daddy got experience. Like, he knows a strategic way to reduce his workload to fuck you up. You feel me? But at the same time, it should never get to that. And it would never get to that if what our boys are able to do is get their emotions out, deal with their emotions, and learn how to rationalize them and be able to do that, because a lot of times our parents are going to fuck us up. Our parents are going to piss us off. Our parents are going to frustrate us. Our parents are going to do certain things, and our parents need to stop denying those emotions. They need to stop just saying, yo, fix your face. Yo, you'll be all right. Yo, you're still a child. Like, no, that child is a human being that deserves respect too. And as boys, respect is to men what love is to women. We yearn for respect. I hear it all the time. The boys will stop fighting in the streets. The boys stop killing each other. We wouldn't be doing that shit if we just loved our boys a little. It's not love that we're seeking when we out in the streets wilding out. It's respect. It is respect. You feel me? We're not looking for love. We're looking for respect. So we join the gangs. We join the sets. We go do destructive shit because our emotions that we're able to feel are anger, rage, and aggression. So our personal identity is created through pain, which means that our respect is going to be by inflicting or receiving pain. And if you make me receive pain, I'm going to inflict it on you. So I become a tyrant in the streets. I run the streets. I get to that point because that gets me respect. You feel me? That or having all the hoes. It's still destructive behavior, but that or having all the hoes. Having all the girls doing all of the shit to the women. You feel me? I get respect from that. You feel me? You know how many motherfuckers, would fuck with me because I was disrespecting women? You feel me? I did my fighting. I ran with, who I ran with, but I wasn't built for shooting motherfuckers. I wasn't built for killing motherfuckers. Not that I was scared to, but I knew that I would do it if I had to. When all my homies had pistols and shit, if I had to, go shoot one, I shot one of theirs. I didn't have one of my own because I knew I would shoot somebody. I knew it. I didn't even second guess it. I knew that, if I got this pistol, and somebody fuck with me, I'm going to kill the shit out of them. I didn't even give a fuck. Like, I had no conscience with that shit. I know I didn't. I knew I didn't because of the speed in which I would fight. If I got a gun, what Jay-Z say? I'm from the city where the skinny niggas die. No, the skinny niggas ride 4-5 on side or some shit like that. But yeah, you feel me? I already got the complex now. You feel me? I already got the skinny man's complex. Y'all motherfuckers want to get bigger and shit and then want to fight. No, I'm not about to do that shit. And it's going to be, I'm going to beat you up, fight you. Then you got to come back with your homies to get your face back. And I'm going to shoot all y'all. I'm going to shoot you, bro. And I knew that about myself. I knew that about myself, so I wouldn't do that. But my respect came, I said, I'm not going down that street light because I knew that I didn't give a fuck. I was conscious enough to know that I didn't give a fuck. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, with my homies, when we had beef, yo, Ray, let's go. All right, let's go. Ain't nothing. We fighting or whatever. Then it got to the point where, you know, when my homies was like, yo, I'm like, why you gotta do this? I'm beefing. Damn, our beefs are really getting like that. Now, I don't want no parts of that. Because if I got to get one and it's like, I'm not giving you the time to come find me. No. Fuck that. Let's go get them, bro. We got to end this shit now. Ain't no point in playing duck, duck, goose, nigga. Like, fuck that. Let's go lay him down. You feel me? That wouldn't have been productive. That wouldn't have been nothing for anything, you know? So the route that I happened to choose was the ladies' man route. I disrespected the fuck out of women, bro. I didn't give a fuck. Like, I remember I was on the phone one time and I called this woman another name. Now I'm saying woman this time. I was 15, she was 21. And, like, I was just like, she just did something stupid. I forgot what it was. And I was like, yo, you wild. And I just called her another name. And she was like, what you say? I said, man, my little cousin over here tripping, bro. Like, it just flows so naturally. I didn't care. I didn't give a fuck. You feel me? But I kept so many in rotation that I got my respect like that. Yo, man, you are like, dudes fuck with me because they knew I was always around some girls. You feel me? Most of the homies that I was with when I was young, they fuck with me because I was always around some girls. You feel me? When I went to college and shit, I was always around girls. I was always around women. So one of my homies was like, yo, who that little shorty you be with all the time? Which one? You're like, the little Puerto Rican. I said, I don't be with no Puerto Rican girl. What are you talking about? Ain't no, you know, the girl happened to be mixed and she just had curly hair. So he thought she was Puerto Rican. But like, now he said, yo, put me on to her, bro. I said, man, put yourself on, bro. Man, you always with her though. Like, you feel me? It was little shit like that. That's how, you know, I got my respect because I was always around women. You feel me? I was always around women. But nothing changed about my emotional state. Nothing changed about what emotions I was able to exhibit. Nothing changed about the emotions I was able to have. You feel me? And nothing changed about the fact that I was never able to successfully process my emotions and vent how I felt. Because even being around women all the time, they'd be like, what's wrong with you? Nothing. You good? No. What, you want to talk? Oh, I'll be all right. And then I would, you know, just get over it. Not realizing that I just got past it. I didn't get over it. I just left it there. You feel me? But that comes from not being able to do that shit. Now I vocalize my emotions. And because I never, like, the practice was different. Now, granted, it's been about 4 or 5 years since, you know, I've come to terms with this and been able to do it. But now it's like that normal expression. It's like it gets to the point where I just express it and it be coming off ruthless, but I'm like, I gotta be honest. You know, it's blunt. It's off the cuff and to the core. It's like, you know, this is what it is. Like, they're like, damn, you ain't have to say it like that. Like, what? The truth? You feel me? You know? And that's one of the hardest things because, like, when you're, as men, when we're not able to, and that's why we lie. That's another reason why we lie. I mean, we lie because we lie, but what makes it easier to lie is because, for one, we've always been lied to, and we don't know how to tell the truth about our emotions. You know, it's easier to cheat on a woman to get her to break up with you and to tell her you're no longer feeling her. No longer tell her that the emotion isn't there. You put her walking away in there. Like, you feel me? And some of us don't cheat. Some of us just get real distant and then we start doing dumb shit to make you walk away from us, to make the woman walk away from us, to say, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to face this because this is an emotional thing. Then I got to see her cry. I got to feel this. I got to feel that. I remember I did it one time and I've struggled with it since. Because I was on some, yo, let me be honest, tell her I don't want to, like, yo, she made some fake Instagram pages about me. Motherfucking sent some death threats to me and shit. And I was like, damn, shorty, like, for real? That's how we doing? I said, so y'all, that's how y'all moving? All right, cool. I'm gonna have difficulty. Now it's like, it put me back in a space where it's like, yo, it's just easier just to stop fucking with you, just to ghost you. You know what I mean? It's easier just to ghost you. You know, but don't ghost them. Tell them the truth. Get to that point where you can rationalize what's going on. But that comes with processing your emotions healthily, you know. So like I said, my peers, we can't erase none of the shit that happened to us in the past, but now we have to move forward. You know, we have to be able to, you know, stand firm a lot more and give that vocal insight and speak what we want to speak and say what we got to say. You feel what I'm saying? And say it comfortably. You feel me? When you feel in a certain type of way, express that shit. You know, express that shit. Get comfortable expressing that shit. Start getting comfortable first, expressing it with yourself. You don't necessarily have to start expressing it to people, but start expressing it to yourself. You feel me? When you get that comfort, you know, like when you feel like, yo, I'm fucking mad. Why am I mad? Okay, because this right here happened. Okay, cool. All right, I accept that I'm mad. I accept that I'm angry, right? You know, even when you feel good, when yo, I'm content, yo, because I just completed this motherfucking project, man. I feel good, bro. Like, yo, I feel good about myself. Yo, smile, dance, do what you got to do to celebrate that in yourself. You feel what I'm saying? Then start to express it to people around you. This is when you're going to start to realize, one, that a lot of your friendships are trauma bonds. Two, it's time to start getting new friends. You feel me? That's one of the hardest realities, because when you start to express yourself, when you start to live honestly and people have a problem with that, that means that they're a lie in your life. And it's time to sever the ties and let that go. Some of these could be your friends since y'all was A1s from day one. You feel me? But get to that point when you can no longer express yourself and no longer speak your truth and say, hey, this is where I stand with that. And they undermine it, or they say, bro, it's not that serious, or whatever the case. Start paying attention to that shit and start to say, all right, cool. I have to distance myself from you. I can't fuck with you. Get in the habit of doing that with your family. You feel me? It's okay to do so. It's okay to do so. You feel me? Set these boundaries and let that shit be known and move accordingly to that. So now when your son is growing up, you know, when they can healthily see you do these things, they can do them as well. They can say, yo, Dad, I'm angry. What are you angry about? Dad, I'm frustrated. Why are you frustrated? Because I can't do it. See, that's another thing that stops a lot of shit, because when a child gets frustrated because they can't do something and you tell them, yes, you can, take can out of your vocabulary. What? You don't teach them how they can do it. You don't teach them what they're missing as to why they can't do it. Their frustration is their first thing, and you tell them, you just bypass when they tell you they can't. Because you can do anything you put your mind to. Bitch, I'm putting my mind to it and it's making me frustrated. But I'm not able to express my frustration. You feel what I mean? That makes us shut down. How many of us get frustrated about shit we can't do, but we still try to go through it and just trying shit, won't work. Trying shit, switch it up. That's how Cat Williams put the shit. That's just hilarious. But how many of us, I know for myself, when I was always told that I couldn't, like I admitted that I can't do something, somebody, yes, you can, you just got to put your mind to it. And I would get on a hamster wheel with the shit and I would not know that there's extra pieces I needed. I would not know that there's other things that I have to add to that, other things that I have to do to make it streamlined, to make it a lot easier. That was a fuck up within me. That was something that I couldn't do. I never got to that point because that disconnect was there, because as a child, I never got to exhibit that. I never got to sit down and say, hey, you can't do this because you're missing this, because you're not just I'm trying as hard as I can. I'm putting my mind to it and I can't do it. That's why a lot of us give up at a lot of shit in life. We give up with a lot of shit in life because when we have frustration and we admit that we can't do something, somebody tells us that we can, but don't tell us what we're missing as to why we can't, or what the reason is that we can't do it, or we're not achieving the success that we have. So how much shit in your life have you given up that you knew deep in your heart that you wanted to do, that you knew you could do, but you reached a point where you couldn't do it anymore? Somebody just said you weren't trying hard enough. So then now you realize, damn, I'm trying as hard as I can, so it must not be for me. No, you were missing the very thing that would allow you to be able to do the shit. You dig what I mean? I use an example for myself. Like when I first wrote So Frail, I was trying to sell all of the books by myself. You feel what I mean? Maybe if I get enough followers, I do this. No, followers ain't got shit to do with the sales. You need to get it to the people that are willing to buy. I didn't know that at the time. So maybe I was just thinking, yo, maybe my book just ain't good. It just ain't gonna sell because it ain't good. You feel me? But I knew that wasn't the truth, because the reviews and I'm like, yo, what am I missing? I had to learn marketing. I had to learn how to market a book. I can't just go to somebody and say, hey, buy this book. They got to be looking for it. They got to want it. They have to have a desire to it. I have to be able to tell the story as to how it can. Like, there's little processes that had to go into that. You feel what I mean? There's other things in life that because I couldn't do it in that moment and didn't know what the missing piece was that was hindering me, I gave it up. I gave it up. You feel me? But that comes with the processing of our emotions. There's so many, when we get to that point where we can go through and know how to actively deal with our emotions and rationalize them, we can get to the promised land, brothers and sisters. Nah, let me stop, man. Let me stop fucking with y'all. But the real reality of it is this. As our boys are growing up, they're going to need their emotions. Their emotions are going to fuel their rationale. It's going to make them more masculine men. You feel what I'm saying? I use all of my emotions. I tap into them. Every one of them. I don't just tap. I just don't use anger, rage, and aggression anymore. In fact, I don't even think I really use that anymore like I used to. You know, because I've learned that I can use these other emotions and I learned how to get through them. I learned how to really get through them and how to use them. And that is something that we have to use. We have to tap into that. We have to get back to understanding our emotions. And when we do that, that's when our masculinity will surface and revive. Otherwise, we'll be toxically feminine beings. Do you see why I wrote number 2 now? Now do you see where I wrote the shit? And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try to wrap it up now, because it's getting long and shit. But yeah, going forward, bro, our emotions, they're very powerful pieces to us, and we can't run away from them. We can't suppress them. We can't deny them. We have to rationalize them. We have to process them. Whatever emotion is being triggered, there's something behind that for you to learn from. There's something behind that you have to put your rationale in and get your mind right in order to thoroughly understand it and comprehend it and progress within yourself. You feel me? Don't be afraid of your emotions. Don't feel them. Learn to express them. Learn how to rationalize them. Say what you feel. You feel what I mean? Learn to speak what you feel. Speak the right way. You feel me? If something is bothering you, address that it's bothering you. If that thing tries to make you feel bothered, try to make it seem like you feeling bothered is wrong, or you got to start to remove it from your life. That's one of the hardest things about us healing. When I was, speaking with the sister about this, I'm like, everybody keeps saying, do the work. But some people don't want to anticipate that. If you watch this man do this work, a lot of motherfuckers are going to fall out of their life. You might be a motherfucker that falls out of their life because their connection with you is dependent upon who they were in the past. You feel me? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? If your brother decides, hey, I'm going to deal with these emotions and you were emotional cause and I can't fuck with you no more. You're going to try to rap. No, I didn't do anything to you. Just like, you're going to try to sit in that position. Let's say your man decides to do the work and he can no longer be your man anymore. Are you going to be okay with that? You feel me? Because in him not doing the work was what allowed him to be able to meet you in the first place. See, so it's little things like that we have to pay attention to, that we have to be on point with. And my brother's like, a lot of relationships are going to change. Trust me. A lot of realities are going to change. A lot of things are going to change when you learn to actually heal, when you do that shit. You feel me? I'm not saying everything is going to change. I'm not saying certain things will change. I'm like, from my own perspective, prior to this shit, prior to actually dealing with my emotions and learning that, using the masculine essence to rationalize them and knowing, I'm supposed to feel these motherfuckers and I'm supposed to be comfortable feeling them. You feel me? Prior to that, I was supposed to be a doctor. I was supposed to be a pastor. I was supposed to be a lot of shit. You feel me? My relationships are no longer the same with people. With the people that I once came up with, my relationships are different and they can't connect with me anymore. Because I'm like, that's how you know it's a trauma bond, bro. Like, we can't be cool. I'm not that motherfucker no more. Because it had to change me. it had to change me. Now that it's changed me, they have to realize that, yo, I did, like, you knew me as an emotionless being. You knew me as a being that only operated from 3 emotions: anger, rage, and aggression. So this is how we fit into our reality. Now that I operate from more, now that I started to rationalize a lot more shit, now that I started to use that masculine essence a lot more because I tapped into my feminine essence and learned how to embrace my emotions as opposed to shunning them, rationalizing, processing them as opposed to shunning them, I got better at life. And a lot of people started falling off. But in a lot of those people falling off, I met new people. I created new bonds with people, quote unquote, the soul tribe. It's a lot of motherfuckers that I'm just like, that I've become cool with over this time that is like, I would have never met you had I not have healed. And in me, I needed you. I need you in this space more than I need those other motherfuckers. You feel me? And that's a disconnect. That's that part that we got to get over. And that's that part that we're like, change is hard. We're 30 years old, 35, 40 years old and shit. You feel me? Late 20s and shit. But now that we're starting to do that, like, things are going to change. You feel me? I'm not saying my career path personally changed because a lot of that shit was rooted in, literally a lot of it was connected in the fact that I didn't want to deal with my emotions, that I didn't know how to process certain shit. So it all changed within me. Little shit shuffled and changed, and then my essence transformed. Now I'm a whole different person, as I'm supposed to be. But I'm not just a different person as if like I changed, like I became who I was supposed to be. Like my essence is now balanced. And this is what it's about. It's not one-sided. It's not a polarity. It's not all shifted off one thing. I'm balanced. And this is what my balance created. You feel me? Things change. My relationship with my mama changed. You feel me? My relationship with my sister, my brother changed, family, all of that. It transformed. You feel me? I have a different confidence about myself. Like my attraction to women, the type of women. Now, granted, I still love a nicely built black woman, bro. Like it's just what it is. But now it's different. Like I'm not like, I no longer, like everything has changed. Everything has changed. I ran into a couple of my exes and shit back in the day, and it's like, yo, I'm like, they look almost the same. I'm like, I'm not even attracted to you anymore. Wow. You still cool. I'm just not attracted to you anymore because now I'm starting to realize what caused that attraction. Different things that I want to do in life, I no longer want to do them anymore. Now I'm doing totally different shit. If you would have told me this shit 10, 20 years ago, that I wouldn't be none of the shit that I'm thinking about doing right now, I'm going to be doing when I'm older, I wouldn't believe you. You feel me? But I could just imagine, had I have been able to achieve this pinnacle within myself at a lot younger age, you dig what I mean? It would have served its purpose. So for my brothers and shit, what we got to do is really deal with our emotions. Like I said, deal with them in the solitude of yourself first. You feel me? Start admitting what you feel and then processing it, rationalizing it. Go through the phases. How am I feeling this? Well, what am I feeling? How am I feeling? No, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? How am I feeling this? To what extent am I feeling this? That is the process of processing emotions. Don't just say, yo, I ain't feeling shit, I'm good. Nah, you're not good. Start to process that shit. Then sit and watch how creative you get. Watch how your mind starts to, okay, bam, I'm feeling this because of this. Why is this, that? And then you start to figure certain shit out. When you get frustrated, when you feel intimidated, when you feel nervous, when you feel content, when you feel happy, when you feel joy, when you feel elated, when you feel all of these things, any emotion that you feel, positive or negative, any emotion that you feel, process it and learn how to, and that's how you tap into an emotion. You feel me? If I understand that contentment comes from being successful, you feel me? When I want contentment, I succeed at shit. You feel me? When I want to be happy, when I want to, like, that's how I learned how, like, I create a database as to the things that make me happy. I created a database as to the things that give me contentment. I created a database to the things that make me nervous and frustrated. And I started to, when I feel that energy coming, I'm like, okay, cool. Whenever I get frustrated with a project, first thing I ask myself is, what am I missing? You feel me? I don't just say, I can't do it, it's done. And I'm like, yo, what am I missing? Okay, it's something that I'm missing here. It's something that I'm missing here. Okay, what is it? Okay, there's a disconnect at this point. Figure that point out. You feel me? It's little shit like that. But it's big shit. It's big shit because we haven't been doing it. You feel me? When you have your sons, you got your nephews, whatever it is that they feel when they vent, when they need to vent, when they need to get it out, let them feel that emotion. Let them feel that emotion and help them process it. Our emotions couldn't be processed because our parents couldn't process the emotions. Our big siblings, our older siblings couldn't process emotions. This is cyclic shit. You just suck it up and keep moving. You just suck it up and keep moving. No, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. The moment you mastering your emotions and embracing your emotions will not make you soft. It's going to make you stronger than you can ever imagine. Feel me? Stronger than you can ever imagine. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and tie it up because we already been running for a bit. As always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_scene_. Check out my website at iamjustscene.com. Be sure to check out all of the Instagram pages, Mastering the Market if you want to learn how to trade. The Hitting the Raw program if you're looking to transition to the plant-based lifestyle. So Frail books for the So Frail books. Just Scene podcast, so you can always catch the updates when a new episode comes out. Just Scene's merch if you're looking for authentic designs that kind of playing into the psyche. They're all symbolisms just to keep us on our shit, to make sure that we're not being self-destructive with ourselves and everything like that. And also be sure to get my books, Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life, if you're trying to transition to the plant-based lifestyle. So Frail, A Reality to Black Masculinity. So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity. And much appreciation to everybody who tips, donates, and sponsors the podcast. You are very, very appreciated. And if you would like to tip, donate, sponsor, all that information can be found within the description of your podcast. Cash App, PayPal, all works. Damn, I should have said it when I was going to say it. Oh, damn, I just forgot again. I got to sit with that because I have to say it. I had to say it because it came too short. Shit, I forgot it. But yeah, that's emotion. That's emotion. We gotta embrace it. We gotta embrace it and really focus on the change. Where we are. That's what it was. Speaking of emotion, Chatting with Scene is always back on. If you want to book a session, whatever it is, you can find Chatting with Scene on my Instagram at _just_scene_. Just click the link in the bio and go down to Chatting with Scene to book a session. Vibe out, whatever it is. I got different packages for whatever it is that you want to do. Text message, phone calls, whatever the case may be. I will be soon. I got a few more projects that I really got to complete, but soon I will be adding like live webinars to it, because I really want to give us that space to where we get a few brothers on the chat, open it up and just talk, vibe. You feel me? And get it out. Get it out like this. Like, I don't want us to feel like we got to be a certain way. Because a lot of times that's what happens. Like, when we start to see the self-growth and shit, we talk to people that are so out of reach. We got to break that shit. We got to break that shit to where it's like everybody can come as they are. Like, be vulnerable, be raw, be in their natural spaces and shit. You feel me? Comfortable. So, that'll be coming soon. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. My brothers, we got to get into our emotions, y'all. We got to get into our emotions. And I promise you, it's going to make you more masculine. It's going to make you stronger and shit. It ain't going, you can still smack the fuck out of a motherfucker. That ain't no problem. You're still going to be able to do all the other shit, but tapping into your emotions is not going to make you soft. It's going to make you stronger. So with that being said, go kiss your babies. Go make sure they're eating their vegetables. I love y'all. And as always, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.